All right, welcome back to a new tutorial. And this one is not actually on Touch Designer, but on a machine learning algorithm called ESRGAN. And this AI basically helps you to upscale any image that you want to any scale that you want. So this is a really, really powerful GAN that you can use, so Generative Adversarial Network. And I will show you how to use this on the Colab, on the Google Colab website, so you don't actually need to download anything. But for this approach, you actually need a Google account and a Google Drive that you link to this. If you don't want to use that, there's also an alternative way, and there's a tutorial on how to do this locally on your machine. So I will link this tutorial in the description. Let's look at how to do this with Colab. Before that, if you want to learn more about this GAN and if you want to understand more about this, because I am totally not in the position to really explain the behind the scenes, this is not my field of work. But if you want to learn more about this and if you want to learn more about the models that can be used, then I will also link this GitHub here in the description and you can read about that. Right, so let's get started. So if you click on the link in the description and go to this Colab site, this might actually be, or at least it was for me in the beginning, a bit confusing how to use this. So there's two main parts here, and one you only need to do once and one you do every time you upscale an image. So the first one is setup, and all you really need to do here is once you have logged in with your account, click on play here, and it's going to run a script to set up your G drive to work with this. So when you do that, you have to give permission, and then it's going to run a bit and it's going to show you, like I've already done that, but it should show you like setup complete at some point if you've allowed everything to work. So once that is set up, we can go to the interesting part, which is the upscaling. So before I dive into here, I'm going to quickly show you my drive. So I have created a new folder called Upscale in my main drive. So we're just at my drive and then Upscale. And I have two different images. One is of a butterfly, which is pretty low res. So we have a resolution here of almost like 200 by 200 pixels, pretty low. And the other one is a texture I've created in Midjourney. So another AI, which is 1600 by 1600 roughly. So larger file. And so one is a JPEG and one is a PNG. All right, so let's get started. To start, we have to specify what image or folder we will use. So we can do like a single upscaling of like one image, or we can do a whole folder like with several images in them. I'm just gonna look at one image now. So I'm gonna type in a slash and then upscale. That's the folder I created. And then I'm gonna look for my file, which is for now butterfly.jpg. So I'm gonna type in butterfly.jpg. And that's pretty much all I have to do here. I can also specify an output directory. So if we want to save the file not in the same folder as we have saved the input file, then we can specify another folder here. But I'm just going to leave this empty and it's just going to save in the same folder. I quickly mentioned this earlier on with the model here. You can use different models and you can read about that here on the GitHub. I'm just going to use the default one here. And then we have the option to interpolate. So I'm just going to maybe go up a bit higher with this, like 24. This is like a value that you should just play around with. There isn't a right way to use this. Just mess around with this and see what works best for the image that you're using. We can turn on DJPEGing. So this is going to get rid of, or tries to get rid of, the artifacts, like the JPEG artifacts of an image. So if you've downloaded an image from the internet, which is heavily JPEG'd or compressed, then you can turn this on. But for now, I'm just going to leave this off. You can also sharpen your image. I'm also going to leave that off. And you can also turn on models and file names. So if you turn this on, once your file is being saved in your folder, it's going to add what interpolation and what model you have set up here. So you can have like better overview if you have different tests in your drive. I'm just going to ignore this for now. All we need to do now is click on play here. And it's going to say, warning, this notebook was not offered by Google, but we're just going to run it anyway. And then it's going to give me this error because I can't write butterfly. Right, so I'm going to add another T and run this again. And then we can see always for every iteration, it's going to give us a random ID, just a 6-digit word where you can see how many images we're processing. We can see what image is currently being processed, and then it should say done and saved as at some point. So let's head back to our drive, and now we can see it has already created this new butterfly picture. So we can go back from one to the other. So this is like a small image and this is a large image, and it's just kind of insane because now we have an almost 800 by 800 size picture, and before we had only 200 by 200 roughly. So what we can do now technically is to just copy this name, go back here and just type in the new name. And again, let's run this. And obviously, like the larger the image, the longer it's going to take to process. So just got to wait here for a bit for it to upscale the already upscaled image to even higher resolution. And once that's done, we can head back to our drive. It's usually going to take a few seconds for it to load here. And then there we go. We can now look at this image, and now we can see we have an image of almost like 3000 by 3000 roughly. So we can see the progress here from like 200 by 200, 800 by 800, and then 3000 by 3000, which is just incredible, right? It still looks pretty much like the original. Yeah, you can go as high as you want, really. You can just like iterate this as often as you want. And you can mess around with the interpolation and different models. I'm just going to show you with another image I have created here in Midjourney. So this one is already pretty high resolution, so like 1600 by 1600 roughly. And so I'm just going to type that in here. So mj.png, not pnh, png. And then I'm going to run this. It's going to take a bit. I'm just going to cut it away. All right, so this took roughly a minute or two now because it's a much larger image. So we're going to head back here and look at the new file. And now we can see it is now over 6000 by 6000 pixels. So if we look at it in photos, we can see we can zoom in really, really close. So it's really quite insane how high this can scale shit up. So yeah, we could even scale this higher and higher and then print it in whatever size you want. So really there is no limit to how high you're gonna upscale these. And yeah, that is basically it. All right, so thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you on the next video.